Hi, I'm Paul from Yamaha here at Hanna Pianos in Wimbledon, and what a great store it is, full of acoustic pianos and digital pianos. But when we talk about acoustic and digital instruments, what's the difference? So with an acoustic instrument, we have, of course, keys, and those keys have hammers attached. The hammer then hits the string vibrates across the soundboard, and that creates the sound. But of course, having an acoustic instrument requires tuning regularly. It requires maintenance and regulation of the instrument. And of course, placing it in our home can be an issue because we have to be careful of temperature and humidity. When we look at digital instruments, we don't have that issue because, of course, there's no hammers, there's no strings, there's no soundboard. We've captured the sound of an acoustic grand absolutely perfectly, and we've placed it inside our digital instrument. So we have no tuning problems, we have no regulation problems. Of course, we can place the instrument in our homes wherever we want because it's really portable in comparison to an acoustic. I'm here with Yamaha and the 785 Clavinova, and it is absolutely wonderful. Let's take a look. One really important feature when you're looking to buy a digital piano is that of the action. How does the piano actually feel when you play it? It's a really, really important point. And it's important because as you play it, whether you're a complete beginner, a novice or a professional, every time you play, you're going to develop your technique. And the only way that we can develop our technique is by having a really great action. On board the Yamaha CLP785, we have an action called Grand Touch, and we've been developing this action for many, many years. To be fair, it simply feels exactly like a concert grand piano. So, of course, one thing that's very important when you look at a digital instrument is the sound. Now, the sound on Clavinova has been taken from Yamaha's top-of-the-range flagship instrument, the Yamaha CFX Concert Grand. We've digitally captured the sound and we've placed it inside of the CLP785, and it sounds absolutely beautiful. Let's take a listen. It really is a wonderful sound. And that's because the technology we've used at Yamaha is capturing the sound from CFX and placing it inside the 785, so that when we press a key, it literally is playing back the sound of a concert grand. But there's more to it than that. When we listen to the sound of the key and the sound being played back of that particular note, there's lots of other things going on inside a concert grand, like resonance. Resonance is the thing that's happening once the string has been hit and the string is vibrating. It's creating this big, beautiful sound. We've even captured all of that resonance and the nuances inside the 785, so that when you play it, you experience the sound of a mighty concert grand, which is Yamaha CFX. So on board 785, we don't just have one voice, we have many voices. In fact, we have many pianos. If we come to the panel across to the left-hand side, you'd be forgiven for saying, what panel? You can't see anything, until you touch the panel and it comes alive. It's actually a touch screen, and we can make a selection from this screen, and at the minute we can see Yamaha CFX. If I press Bosendorfer, I can actually get the sound of a Bosendorfer Imperial grand, which sounds again absolutely stunning. Let's take a listen. a much more intimate sounding instrument. It's just exquisite, it's beautiful, and it's been recorded directly from a Bosendorfer. So we have not just CFX, we also have Bosendorfer, alongside many other voices on board that we can select from the display panel. Let's take a look at some other voices on board the CLP-785. Literally come to the panel, touch the touch screen, and we can select voice, and we can select other voices on board the instrument. I'm going to go to electric piano. This is one of my favorite areas. Let's go back to the 1980s, and the 80s were full of really great bands and a lot of them used some electronic pianos, and one of the voices is what we call a DX electric piano. This was actually from 1983 when Yamaha launched the DX7 synthesizer, one of the most iconic synthesizers in the world, and I think most bands from the 1980s used this sound. It's absolutely beautiful. Have a listen. That brings back a few memories. We've got other voices on board. We've got a vintage piano. We've also got lots of other sounds. So if I come down to the, let's say, string section, I've even got string sounds. What about if you want to use the piano maybe in a church? We've even got organ voices. So if I come back up to the voice section, come to organ, and I've got things like some great voices on board the Clavinova CLP-785. Now we've heard some great voices on board the instrument. We can even mix voices together. So let's say I wanted to take my CFX Concert Grand and I want to add another voice over the top. So layer the voices. We can do that very, very easily. And we do that literally by going to the dual button. Now I can see in the screen I've got CFX Grand and strings. I can make the selection to change that sound to whatever I want. So let's put slow strings. So I've got a CFX Grand mixed with some slow strings across the top. Have a listen. Really great sound. Let's take the Bosendorfer piano, and also why not have a dark pad sound, quite an ethereal voice. This is absolutely beautiful. Another great feature on board the Yamaha CLP785 is the metronome. Now of course we use a metronome to keep us in tempo. Simply select it from the panel. Now another great way to be kept in tempo is the rhythm section. Imagine, instead of using a metronome, we actually have a drummer playing drums to keep us in tempo. Have a listen. Also incorporated is a bass player. So when you actually start to play the keyboard, not only will you be hearing the rhythm section, but also a bass player playing a bass guitar to follow exactly what you're playing on piano. It's like playing with a small band. Learning to play the piano has never been easier, especially when you play Yamaha Clavinova. Now, we also have something that will make playing the piano even easier. We have an app called SmartPianist. So on board my Apple iPad, you can use other devices as well, like selected Android devices, but I've got an iPad here. I've loaded up the SmartPianist app, which is completely free of charge with the instrument. I place my iPad on the instrument and we've connected the iPad wirelessly to the CLP. Now, instead of using the panel, I can use the iPad to control the piano. So literally, I can play the CFX, there's my CFX. If I want to change that piano, I literally just swipe the screen. Bosendorfer, Studio Grand. Studio Grand's a great sound. It's used in many studios around the world. It's a 7-foot Yamaha piano, and it has the quality so that it kind of cuts through the mix of a studio. So if you've got drums, if you've got guitars and other instruments, this piano really cuts through that mix. If you want to play some pop music, great. What about an upright piano? We've talked a lot about grand pianos. We also have an upright piano. This sounds amazing. Let's just compare it to a grand piano. There's a Bosendorfer. That rich, deep bass sound. Let's now compare it to an upright piano. So it sounds very different, but a great sound. We even have an old pub piano, a honky-tonk. And enough of that. We can also change the environment of the piano. So let's go back to CFX. The environment is really important because we can change the sound of the acoustics of the room. So for instance, if I'm in, let's say, a concert hall, I can change that concert hall to maybe, let's go to a cathedral. So I can place the piano in a cathedral, and the reverberation of the piano is captured also. I can also change the environment size. So this is playing in a small cathedral. What about a big, huge cathedral? So everything is editable. I've just popped into the piano room, and what this allows us to do is change lots of other things in association with the sound. So we've changed the environment, that's great, and we've got lots of different environments. We've got concert halls, we've got cathedrals, we've got recital halls. Let's go to the first area of the menu, and this is saying lid position. We can even change the lid position of the piano. We can close it, we can half open it, and we can fully open it. Of course, that edits the sound, that changes the sound of the instrument. We can change the brightness, literally by sliding our finger up and down the brightness control. Touch curve, really, really great feature. If you've got someone who's learning to play the piano and they're maybe quite timid. Maybe if you've got a small child and they're just learning to play and they're very timid on the keyboard, we can adjust the way that the piano behaves so that it enables them to play the piano really easily. Also, maybe we've got someone who was quite heavy-handed. Maybe they'd been learning to play on a very old instrument and they're playing the piano quite hard. Again, we can adjust the touch curve so that it will ease them into playing correctly. If we move down to master tune, we can tune the piano. No need for a tuner, we can do it ourselves. And then we come down to look at the other things on board, like VRM. VRM means virtual resonance modeling. This part of the instrument is so clever and so detailed. Basically what it means is all of the resonances that we have in an acoustic instrument, we've captured and we recreate that on our digital instrument. The net effect is it just sounds like you're playing a concert grand. And we have all of the different resonances, damper noise, string resonance, duplex scale resonance, body resonance. So you can see it's really an in-depth feature that we can really get in and edit those sounds if we want to. If we just come out of that and press done, we're back to our regular piano sound. And again, we can just change that just by swiping the screen. It's very easy. One way to check your progress in your practice is to record. We can record on the 785 and SmartPianist just by selecting the record button. I'm going to press record and off we go. We can see that it's recording because the number is moving down on the bottom of the screen. Let's just play a very basic C scale. Okay, let's press stop. We can save that performance to the iPad, and we can even put a different name in there if we want, but I'm just going to press save. Now when I go to the song section, it's going to play that recording back. Now in fairness, we've been able to do that for a long time. There's nothing new in recording, but watch this. If I press song and play, it even scores what I've played. So I can record something and it will turn that into the notation and score it out onto the iPad. I can even print that and send that off to my friends for them to practice as well. It's great. We have many voices available on 785. We can access them all using the SmartPianist app. Simply select the voice section, tap the instrument, and we can then select from the voices available on board. We can also mix voices, and this is a great way to make some great new sounds. So we could take for instance, the grand piano, and we could layer it, so we're layering two voices together. We could layer it with maybe some slow strings. Have a listen. We also have a balance feature. If I go into the balance area, I can now adjust the volume levels of each of those instruments. So I can take strings, make them quieter, or make them louder. By splitting the keyboard, we can even add a different voice to the left hand and a different voice to the right hand. We do that simply by pressing left, and we can select what left voice we want. So let's have bass and cymbal. So down to the left hand side of the split point, which we can see here, I have a bass and a cymbal, and to the right of that I have a piano. So I can split the keyboard in two, so I have bass to the left and a voice to the right. I can even layer a voice to my right, so I can have two voices on my right hand and a split voice on my left hand. Brilliant. At the top right of the screen, we see a question mark. If we tap the question mark, we can actually now see some yellow cells. If we tap a yellow cell, it will tell us what that feature does. So it's like having an instruction manual all built in. Come down to the store at Hanna Pianos in Wimbledon, have a look at the incredible range of Clavinova pianos, and the guys in the store will show you just how good they really are. I'm Paul from Yamaha. I'll see you very soon.